Darth Bane turns out to be just a pretty phenomenal character in Galaxy of Heroes, and I do feel like he is changing the shape of the meta at the minute. So we're going to take a moment, just a quick see, to take a look at how we should mod Darth Bane, what Zetas and Omis are appropriate, and where you can expect to be using him in the future. Let's break this down. What is going on YouTube? And I, like many people out there in the world, are currently basking in the glory that is Darth Bane. We've already seen that he is able to take out numerous teams with a high degree of efficiency within GAC, and he does have some viability even outside of it. I think it is absolutely phenomenal. He has got to be the best Conquest character, or, well, maybe the best is not the right phrase to use, the most powerful Conquest character that CG has ever released. It is all the way up there, surpassing and supplanting the likes of Commander Ahsoka Tano and Maul at the very top of that power peak threshold. What makes Bane so interesting, though, is his viability and versatility, not only within the roster, but within how he can be used to tackle different teams and who he can pair up with. So let's first and foremost just break down how I like to mod my Bane. I've got mine up to Relic 8 currently, and I'm only using the Lonely Zeta. Now, when it comes to modding, I like to prioritize mostly around survivability. So I'm running 6 sets of health. That's going to pump up his health by 10% per duo of those health mods, and I've got him at just under 130,000 health at Relic 8. Not only that, I've got a little bit of speed, not too much on him. I don't feel like he requires too much speed. He does have a way of organically increasing his speed through one of his uniques, so 231 speed for me currently. No crit damage on the triangle, however we do have a little bit of offense. 11,534 offense is how I've got mine. So how does that really translate into the mods that I've been using? I've got some pretty high level mods on him. I've got offense primary on the arrow over here. You can go for a health primary. This one has got 23 secondary speed, but it's also got 7.38% health on there as well. This one overall is just what I feel to be a very, very powerful secondary. I really hope that I can slice this to get that offense over onto speed and hopefully get him to like a plus 29 speed. That would be nice. Over here on the triangle then, I've got a health primary. We've got 3 rolls of percentile offense. Let's actually do this live on recording. Can we get an extra percentile offense? Show me offense. Oh, speed. I'm not mad at speed. Show me offense. Now that's potency. That's not what I want. For shame. I doubt I've got a calibration available. Oh, we'll do one calibration. I don't feel like we need that potency there. I probably should have done the flat offense, but never mind. That's a flat offense, isn't it? It is. We'll keep that. All right, so a bit of a shame there still. All the same. So on the cross, I've gone for a health primary once again, and this again has got some offense secondaries. Now, these are not set in stone, guys. What you can do is, like this, this one's got 13% defense as well, just under 14%, not too bad. These are just the ones that suited my needs. Now, you can get offense primaries on the cross, you can get offense primaries on the triangles, so provided you've got percentile offense in the secondaries and speed potentially, then you should be able to make these numbers work. Over here on the circle, once again, I'm prioritizing health over protection, and that is important. We'll get to it in just a minute. And we've got offense percentage on the secondaries, speed on the secondaries. Same over here. We've got offense percentage on the secondaries and speed on the secondaries. And up here, speed and, of course, the primary on the square is also a percentile offense. We're just looking for speed and health on those ones there. So why is health so important? Well, health is so important because it gives him a lot of bulk, obviously, but not only that, his essence of dominance over here deals damage based on Bane's max health. So this ability here is an Omicron ability, and it is one of the ones that I would say is not the most important, but out of the 3 Omicrons on Bane, I would highly, highly regard this as the second most important Omicron. Okay, so this ability here does physical damage to all enemies based on Bane's max health. So if you have higher max health, it does more damage. Without the Omicron, it increases all their cooldowns by 1, which can't be resisted, and Bane also siphons max health from the target enemy, which cannot be resisted. Now, how Siphon works is you build up stacks of Siphon. That is different on each character. Well, not each character. On any character that can stack Siphon, they have a different method of generating Siphon, and then when you use an ability that drains Siphon or siphons a particular stat, then it will take the a look at this siphon stack that you've got, and it will drain a percentile of that. So Bane isn't one of those characters like Aphra or like Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, who are both siphon characters that can ramp up hundreds or even thousands of siphon. Bane has very low siphon in general. You might see him get to like 5, maybe 10, depending on if you've got the additional Omi on him. So he's only going to be siphoning, maybe 5 to 10%, but that is still a decent amount of health, and the higher your base health, the better off that's going to be. Sith allies gain defense, penetration, health steal up, and offense up for speed for 2 turns. Now, if you do have the Omicron, it does work a little bit differently. You'll see that we increase the cooldowns of enemies by 2 instead, and there is some turn meter manipulation, and it reduces the defense and tenacity of all enemies, stacking by 20%. Can't be resisted, it can be evaded though. So this Omi, like I said, is very, very good. In particular in dealing with JMK teams, but it's not what I would call a necessary Omi to make Bane work. The most important Omi would be the Rule of 2. The Rule of 2 Omi is what gives C the viability to be able to knock out and knock on the doors of really tough teams. We did actually do it in our last GAC where we took C and Bane and we took out a JMK cat team for 68 banners, I think it was, and it was over in a flash. It was like C ultimated on like turn 3. It was crazy. It was so good. So anyway, this Omicron on Rule of 2 is the most important Omicron, and if you only have one available, this is where it goes. Alright, so at the start of battle, if there are no other non-summoned allies present and they are Sith, so if you just go in and you only have an ally in the leader slot, well, it doesn't have to be the leader slot, and you only have one ally and they're Sith, Bane is gaining 75% mastery, max health, and max protection, and whenever an enemy is defeated, Bane gains 10% max health, protection, and offense, stacking until the end of battle. At the start of battle, Bane takes a bonus turn. That's what helps us interrupt those JMK teams. These effects persist if Bane is defeated. Now, the effects of this, which pairs with the ability to make C sort of essentially as if he has what in his team, he gains additional max health, additional max protection, ignores ability blocks, ignores heal immunity, all that sort of business, and recovers protection. If you have the Omi, even if they kill Bane, those effects will remain. Now, typically you're not going to lose Bane because you can control and kill a JMK team before it gets to that point that he'd get yeeted, and he is incredibly tanky. So having him modded for that health, having this Omi does provide you with a lot of stability just in case. In my experience, it's not really mattering if you're going in C with someone else. It tends to be very, very reliable, and the damage output just ramps so quickly. So unfortunately, his leadership is a little bit odd. Sith allies start with 30% offense and additional 30 speed. They cannot be revived just like in C's, and at the start of battle, allies gain defense up, evasion up, and health up for 2 turns. Whenever a Sith ally is defeated, Bane's cooldowns are reset, he recovers 50% health and gains 50% turn meter. While Bane is active, at the end of his turns, the weakest other Sith ally takes damage equal to 15% of Bane's max health, and Bane gains 5 max health for each other Sith ally for the rest of the battle. The first time a non-galactic Legend Sith ally above 30% health will be reduced to 30% or less health, they are granted a bonus turn, and they are defeated at the start of that bonus turn. Then Bane gains 5% health, protection, offense, and speed, and an additional 5% health, max health, protection, offense, and 5 speed for each relic amplifier level of the defeated Sith ally. So essentially, if he's in the lead, every time he takes a turn, they're going to take damage based on his max health. When they hit 30% max health, they are going to take a bonus turn, sacrifice themselves, and Bane's going to get additional stats. The higher the relic level on that character, the more stats that Bane is going to have. Now, personally, I think there's some wiggle room to make this work, but I don't particularly like it in a GAC environment, simply because if you are going in with a full team, you are not getting the Rule of 2 benefits, and you're also almost deliberately giving up banners in order to gain a victory. Now, that will have some limited use in certain scenarios, I can admit. However, typically speaking, in the current climate of GAC, we're not really looking to just throw away banners for nothing. Most GACs, specifically at the top end, You know, we're talking late Kyber 2 into Kyber 1. Most battles are really down to efficiency. You don't want to be looking to lose banners, really. You don't want to be looking to multi-tap, because that is often going to be costing you the win. So I'm not entirely enamored with his leadership, but there are some instances where you can go in Bane with just one support ally and get some really solid work done. So looking at Malevolent Whirlwind then, this is his final Omicron, and I would say this one out of all of them is the least important. The benefit of this Omi means that essentially C is going to be gaining his ultimate at a much faster pace, and Bane also gains Siphon at a higher pace. Now it is okay, it's not a bad Omi to have. However, if you are really strapped for Omis, you can afford to not get this Malevolent Whirlwind. This Malevolent Whirlwind, however, is a little bit interesting. I think it is currently bugged, because if you read this attack, it says dispel all buffs on all enemies twice, then deal physical damage to all enemies twice, dealing 10% more damage for each buff dispelled. Now, in the current climate, I've tested this quite extensively. If the enemy has got Foresight, you will miss. And it shouldn't do that. You should be dispelling the buffs first and then attempting to land the hit, and it should land, but it's not currently operating like that. It's not working properly, as far as I'm aware. So either CG needs to reword how this ability is in the game, or they need to fix it so that it dispels Foresight, deals extra damage for dispelling the Foresight, and lands the hit, most importantly. So bear that in mind. This ability is also why we want to try and stack offense. You can deal so much damage with this ability. We're talking an AoE that is doing, you know, 50 to 60,000, 70,000, 100,000 plus points of damage, depending on who you're hitting, multiple times. We're hitting twice in an AoE, and it hits hard. So offense modding on him is good. Like I said, mine is at about 11.5k at the moment. So his basic is Soul Sever. Deal physical damage to the target enemy and reduce their offense by 20% stacking. And Bane gains 20% stacking offense, which can't be resisted for 2 turns. If you crit, you will also gain 2 Siphon until the end of the encounter. If the attack defeats an enemy, you gain an additional 2 Siphon and they can't be revived, which is so cool. If you're attacking an enemy with above 50% health, it's always going to be critting unless they've got crit hit immunity. If they're below 50% health, it does 200% more damage. It's huge. It's a really good basic. It is a Zeta on the basic. Highly recommend you get that Zeta. So again, this is a really important part of his kit. If you can get a little bit of crit chance, it's useful, but it's not entirely necessary, because as we've seen, he does organically try to get additional crits if the enemy is above 50% health, which is going to give him Siphon. Not only that, as he is a physical attacker, his crit chance is decent enough without any sort of modding. A 50% chance, and he's often passing that crit chance up. It's not too difficult to actually push him to almost always crit anyway. Let's talk about where do we actually use Bane then. Now, we're going to have to approach this from 2 different areas. One of it is going to be, is this GAC? And the other one is going to be, do you have his Omis available? Okay. I like to think that Bane is such a flexible character that you can use him in many places. In GAC, you can obviously use him to take out basically any team that you want. It can be JMK Cat, it can be Lord Vader Maul with Reaver and all sorts of business, it can be Jabba the Hutts, it can be Layers. He will literally kill anything if you pair him with C. Even with Lord Vader, he has got some good viability there. So typically, either one of those 2 is going to be a pretty solid save. However, if you have the Omis in GAC, there is some limited information available that will show that you can actually beat certain teams in GAC without any proper support. Calvin put out a video recently where he was actually just using Bane lead with Sith Assassin and managed to take out a Lord Vader team. Poor Lord Vader, he is always the brunt of things. Now, I don't know if Calvin had triple Omis or anything like that, but I imagine most of the brunt work was just done by Bane's natural kit and the rule of 2 Omicron. So keep that in mind. Bane with basically any sort of throwaway Sith will be able to get some work done. Look at this, for example. Within GAC, we've already had footage of Darth Bane with Sidious, 2-manning Leia Organa. This is a Relic 9 Leia Organa. Yes, it's a bit of an odd team. You're having Han Solo there and Captain Rex, but it's still not a bad team at all. And just look how this battle unfolds. Sidious is not really, Dooku is not really offering a heck of a lot to this team. This is really just fodder essentially for Bane. See, Dooku is dead already. Dooku is gone 25 seconds into the match, and we've just got Darth Bane sitting on his lonesome. He's dazed, and Leia, a whole team of Leia, which is such high damage output. Just look at this madness. I mean, what team does this sort of thing? People are not going to be using Darth Bane with C. Why would you when you can get away with doing stuff like this? It's just absolutely insane. Tore through that Leia Organa team like it wasn't even there. Just a big massive AoE coming out of him, double damage, ripping it apart. Yes, sure, the Leia takes a little bit of time, but you've got so much levels of survivability and you are decreasing her offense on your basic that she's just not going to actually be able to kill you. It is a little bit of a shame that that basic can't hit through foresight, but hey, you can't have everything in life. We just slowly but surely plink our way through this Leia and have a jolly good time with it. And there we go, Bane just rips through that Leia team. Absolutely amazing footage there from Dormant Knight over on YouTube. Really, really cool stuff. The Sith faction is an incredibly large faction and it has a lot of really good characters in it, as you can see. So I think we are just at the moment currently scratching the surface of what is possible. Now we've seen with Calvin he's managed to beat Lord Vader with Bane and with Sith Assassin, but I'm thinking there could also be some other useful leaderships. Now one that is starting to tickle my fancy in particular is Darth Maul. Darth Maul passes up additional evasion to the team, so you could have a Darth Maul leadership passing 20% evasion and turn meter gains and stealth, which means he can't be crit as well. You add that within all of his defense and stuff like that. I think that Darth Maul plus Bane is going to be a very, very decent team. We'll be able to take out more or less anything that isn't a GL, and potentially in GAC with the Ommies might well stand a chance against beating certain GLs as well. Another one that is piquing my interest just a little bit, and I'm not sure how much viability this has, but funnily enough, is Sidious. Sidious's leadership has a form of stacking offense to it. All allies gain 15% crit chance and 30% crit damage. That's pretty good, especially don't forget, if Bane is critting, he is gaining he's gaining Siphon, which is going to be used when he does his AoE, and that AoE will then give him additional max health, which is going to ramp the damage for him. Sith allies also gain 2% offense at the end of the encounter, until the end of the encounter, when they score critical hits. So not only are you stacking your crit chance, giving you additional Siphon, you are also stacking your offense at the same time. So you are ramping and ramping and ramping and ramping. Doesn't matter if C dies. Yes, you will lose yourself 3 banners in a GAC environment, but this leadership will still be active. So as long as Bane is constantly critting, he is going to be raising his offense throughout the battle. Of course, we have seen some amazing work done with Savage Omicron as well. Savage's Omicron is already packed to the gills with survivability. He obviously makes an ideal candidate to be running with Darth Bane, and in particular I would probably say you probably want Darth Bane in the leadership. Gaining additional 75% defense and 30% tenacity for all Sith allies throughout the game is going to be huge. You're not going to be able to hurt Bane or Savage really with all those stacking offense, the recovering of the health and protection and all that good business. These teams have been able to take out stuff like Afra, they've been able to take out stuff like Malgus, Reva, all this sort of business. They're very, very viable against those particular teams. Darth Talon as well has got some very unique synergies with Darth Bane. Thanks to the, I believe it's the proven loyalty over here, if all allies are Sith at the start of battle, whenever the leader is damaged, all allies gain 5% turn meter. That's rather nice. Gaining turn meter, she's going to be stealthed a lot of the time. The first time they would be defeated while Darth Talon is active, dispel all debuffs on themselves, recover 100% health and 100% turn meter, and Darth Talon gains 3 stacks of loyal hand. So she's able to keep him alive a little bit longer, pass a little bit of additional foresight, give him a bonus turn, give him health recovery and all this sort of business. She is a good support ally to put under a Darth Bane leadership. She's only there to add that little bit of additional survivability at the start of battle for Darth Bane to just go off and do his own thing. Now, one last thing that I do want to mention here is that the idea behind Darth Bane originally, as it was purported to us, was that he is essentially going to be a C lifter, and he also has potential viability in a ragtag of Sith to throw in other game modes. I don't think they landed in that position, because what we're starting to see now is if you've got those Omicrons with Darth Bane, you don't even need to throw him with C. You can take him in with lesser characters and still beat GLs. That means that C is keeping Wat Tambor, which I just find rather bizarre. So it just means we're getting more low teams, short man victories for our teams, giving us even more offensive viability. I don't know how much this will bleed over into TW. We have to wait and see. We haven't had a TW with Bane active just yet, but I do find it an interesting prospect. Anyway, we are really early days still in the Darth Bane meta, as it were, and there's probably a lot of teams that I haven't even seen or mentioned yet, so I would like you guys to let me know. Take to the comments section, what have you seen Darth Bane used against, what has given you the most excitement, and where are you planning on using yours? Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.